This abandoned boarding school was once filled with students, laughter, and life, but today it stands completely silent, known for something far more unsettling. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more true horror stories. Now, let's begin. The building had been closed for years. Long corridors stretched into darkness. Dorm rooms stood empty, and every corner seemed frozen in time. It was the kind of place where even the smallest sound felt louder than it should. Daniel was the new night guard assigned to watch over the property. He wasn't the type to believe in ghost stories. To him, fear was just the result of imagination and darkness. Old buildings made noise. That was normal. There was always a logical explanation. His first night started like any other shift. He checked the gates, locked the entrances, and began his routine patrol through the halls. Everything felt normal at first, quiet but manageable. That changed when he reached the third floor. There was nothing visibly wrong. The doors were shut, the windows were still, and the corridor looked just like the others. Yet something about the air felt different, heavier, as if the silence itself carried weight. At around 1:15 in the morning, Daniel heard something that made him stop. A footstep. It was soft, slow, and deliberate. The kind of step that couldn't be mistaken for random noise. He stood still, listening carefully, but the sound didn't repeat. He tried to convince himself it was nothing. Just the building settling, he thought. Still, he decided to check. The corridor stretched ahead of him, lined with identical doors. He walked slowly, testing each handle. Locked, every single one. Then he heard it again. This time, it came from behind him. Daniel turned instantly, his heart beating faster than before. The hallway was empty. There was no one there. No movement, no sound. For the first time that night, doubt entered his mind. He continued walking, trying to ignore the feeling growing inside him. But as he reached the middle of the corridor, the footsteps returned. Only now they weren't behind him. They were ahead, slow and steady, moving as if someone was walking just out of sight. Step by step, the sound traveled down the hallway until it suddenly stopped outside one of the rooms. Room 312. Daniel stared at the door for a moment before slowly approaching it. The closer he got, the more uneasy he felt. When he finally placed his hand on the handle, he noticed something strange. It was cold, far colder than anything else in the building. He hesitated just for a second, then pushed the door open. The room was empty. Dust covered the floor, the air was still, and nothing seemed out of place. But something felt wrong. He couldn't explain it, but the silence inside the room felt deeper than the rest of the building. Then he noticed the window. It was slightly open, just enough to let in a faint breeze that moved the curtain ever so slightly. Daniel stepped inside, scanning the room carefully. Nothing. And then he heard it, a single footstep, right behind him, inside the room. He turned quickly, but there was no one there. The doorway stood empty. But something had changed. The door had moved. It was no longer fully open. Daniel felt a chill run through him. This wasn't the building. This wasn't normal. He backed out of the room slowly and stepped into the corridor again, closing the door behind him. He didn't want to stay there any longer. But as soon as he started walking away, the sound returned. Footsteps. This time they were right beside him, perfectly matching his pace, step for step. Daniel froze. His body refused to move, but the sound continued for one more step, and then suddenly stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything before. That was enough for him. He went downstairs immediately and stayed in the security room for the rest of the night. He didn't return to the third floor again. When the morning shift arrived, one of the guards asked him if everything was okay. Daniel paused for a moment before answering. "Yes," he said quietly. "Everything's fine." But as he was leaving, he stopped at the door and turned back. "There's just one thing," he added. "Don't go to the third floor alone. Because some places don't need to show you anything, to make you feel that something is there.